Hello and welcome to a brand new synth soundset walkthrough with me, the Unfinished. We're back with an old friend here that we haven't seen for about a year, and that is Uno LX by Togu Audio Line. Now, if you're not familiar with this synth, it is basically an emulation of the Roland Juno series. Primarily the Juno 60, which is kind of the flagship of the Juno series, really. It's a really good emulation. I have a 106 in my studio, and whilst that's not quite as good a synth as the 60, it's very much got the vibe captured beautifully. And yes, so this is a collection of 150 new patches for Uno LX, and it's called Protozoa. And the idea behind this particular sound set is basically just taking that classic Roland sound, giving it a little bit of a modern update, and making it good for cinematic, televisual kind of soundtracks. But this sound set's actually really also good for synthwave, trance, electronica, and ambient, various different electronic vibes, basically, because it's full of analog goodness, Roland analog goodness. Okay, so let's jump in and start playing around with some patches. We're going to start in the ARP section. This one is called Cloud Shine. So instantly you can feel that sort of retro feel, very sort of, it's classic Roland, basically. And now the Uno LX synth is a little bit of a, it's very dry because on here you've only actually got two different types of effects, which emulates the original 60, which is just the chorus versions. And let's just play another little thing. So this one's got both of them going. So if we just turn them off, really changes the feel of the sound. So adding the chorus in gives it that lush modulation and a lot of stereo width as well. Now, that is the only effects we have on Uno LX. Most synths you'll be playing with will have a lot more going on. So you may be thinking it sounds a bit simple and a bit dry. And so what I've done is I've actually set up a couple of my favourite effects on the synth channel here as inserts. So just how very quickly you can make it sound bigger. So we're just going to add some reverb. And instantly it's big and it's lush and it's beautiful. That's a bit of the old Eventide black hole there, and then we can add some delays. Listen to that filter, it's lovely. Gorgeous. So very, very quickly you can really just sort of bring extra life to the sounds. So why they very, very well do a really good job of capturing that classic vibe of the analog warmth and that sort of hint of grit. Sometimes you do need just that little bit of extra effects added on to give it that more modern cinematic lift. Okay, let's play with some bass lines. Nice and modulated, this one. Now, hopefully what you'll get from listening to this is a really good vibe for how, despite the fact that Uno LX really captures the Roland sound beautifully, it's incredibly versatile whilst being a very simple synth. So in many ways it's got a really sort of familiar sound throughout them, but at the same time you can do lots of different stuff. And that's though you've only got the pulse width oscillator, saw oscillator, a sub, and a noise. It seems really simple. You've got a high pass filter there. You've got the main filter here with the filter envelope, ADSR envelope, LFOs, bit of control down here for the pitch bend, etc. Portamento, a very basic arpeggio. But with just those few controls, and the chorus, of course, with those few controls, you've got so much going on. This one's very deep. Again, whilst we've got this sort of dry Roland vibe, let's add a little bit of echo. That brings a little bit of life to it. Going to add some distortion in as well. For the echo, I'm using Soundtoys Echo Boy Junior, which is a rather lovely bit of kit. There it is, slightly off the screen. And let's add a bit of FabFilter Saturn in there. So we've got a bit of saturation and compression going on there. You don't need to just play with the chorus to get some sort of width and modulation going on there. With the LFO over here and the pulse width modulation, you can hear on this sound, it's got a lot of space, a lot of movement going on. If we add the chorus in. Okay, so that was actually not showing it up on the... Oh, it tricked me. It tricked me. I thought we were getting the movement... Well, it just goes to show you can never stop learning. Wasn't too embarrassing, was it? Was it? No, okay. Fooled by a GUI glitch. Let's play a few more bass lines before we move on to the basses. It's got a nice sort of wobbliness to it, this one. Let's see what bass lines sound like with a bit of reverb added. That's a bit too much, but I like it. Saturation, there's compression on it again. Actually, no, let's not do that. Anyway, let's go back to that theory I had about pulse width modulation. So here it is really, really super dry. I've taken off the chorus. It doesn't really give it a width, but it gives it that sort of extra modulation and chunkiness, which is rather nice. That was the point I was trying to make before I was idiotic about it. So if you want to do some 80s synth pop, this is great. So let's just find where's my. There's one that I really wanted to. I sort of stumbled across. I don't know how many of you are Saint Etienne fans. But you might recognise that sound if you are. Let's pop all the effects on and see what it sounds like. Anyway, right, let's come to the bases. Oh no, I'm not starting that again, am I? I wasn't trying to play Blue Monday there, by the way. Sounded a bit like it, but that wasn't actually my intention. Nice, lush, and lo-fi kind of bass. Right, see what that sounds like with the. So that's wow. That's actually just wow. That's a strange glitch, isn't it? Just like it remembered the delay from the previous patch. Fun. Anyway, so yeah, we've done that now, haven't we? I've shown that you can add some extra effects in just to bring it to life. And some of the bass lines have got really sort of John Carpentry vibe, haven't they? The basses, rather. So, you know, if you're into the whole, again, if it's cinematic synth stuff, like Ghost in the Shell and Blade Runner and that sort of thing, is very well captured by this. The sub bass. But like I say, what I like is it sounds unmistakably Roland, but at the same time, there are so many different vibes you can get. That's a bit of a crazy one. Okay, one more bass. Very bright one, that. Are there any favoured bass lines I remember? Let's just do the last couple and then we can move on. Wow, big one. Cool. I like that one. A bit of a wobbler. Got one drum. Just a bit of a kick drum. Kind of 808-y. And then we're on to the keys. Well, this will definitely benefit from a bit of... Okay, this switching the reverb on and off thing is... We're going to have to be a bit more careful, aren't we? Okay, should we leave it on for the next one? Sure. Oh, I like this one. Kind of analog electric piano. Okay, let's just play that dry as well. So it's actually rather nice without the reverb as well, which is good. Okay, let's pop along to the leads. Got some fun stuff in here. A very brassy sort of Roland sound. I'm amazed I didn't end up doing a synthwave demo for this, actually. But there we are. Go on, let's whack the reverb and the echo on. Nice. It's got a very nice envelope on it, it has to be said. Bright and open. So you can get a very big sound. I mean, that could be quite fun with the reverb, couldn't it? So when I was actually going back to the thing about how versatile this soundset is, when I was doing some programming, that might be quite nice with reverb. Yes. Yeah, so the variation you get in the sound, I'm just going to have a quick sip of water, my throat's going. Yes, so there's a lot of variety in sound, and I was doing this session. I was doing a session to create Protozoa, and I actually just had so many sounds. It was just, this is such a fun synth to program because it's simple, but you know you can get a lot out of it. And you know, if something like Zebra or Omnisphere or even Diva sort of haunts you with its vastness, this is a really good place to start because it works like an analog synth. It doesn't give you too many options, and you really can learn about how things like oscillators and filters and and LFOs work together. Anyway, yes, so rabbiting. I ended up making a huge amount of sounds. So I've actually got 3 sound sets out of those programming sessions. This is the sort of the bigger, wider, more cinematic sound set, but I've also got another one, which is a sort of slightly more intimate synthwave kind of Stranger Things doodah, and another one which is even more basic than that, which is kind of like, even though this is, what was it, Juno 60 was, what was that, about 1986, 1985, something like that, when it came out. A very 70s vibe collection of sounds, if you're into things like hauntology, or you like the old music that used to be on kids' TV programs in the late 70s, early 80s, kind of lo-fi vibe, then that's something that might interest you. But I don't know when I'm going to be releasing them, because obviously I'm releasing this now. It'll probably be next year. So we shall see. But the point of that rambling was that it really is incredibly versatile for such a very, very simple synth. And that probably comes down to the fact that the Juno 60 is a brilliant synth, and this emulation of it is a brilliant emulation. It's as simple as that. And it's probably worth mentioning that if you aren't an owner of this synth, I'll move on now to this, I've got a couple of loops. If you don't have this synth, and hearing these sounds makes you think, but I want it now, then I will be doing a special edition of Protozoa, where when you buy it, I will then email you a 20% discount code that you can use to buy Uno LX. I did that last year with Vulcan, which was the first sound set of Uno LX, and it was really popular. Loads of people actually ended up getting the synth, which pleased Patrick at Togu Audio Line very much. So yeah, we decided to do it again. So yeah, buy the special edition if you don't own Uno LX and you want to, and then you'll get 20% off the retail price, which is pretty good, because I think it's only about 55 quid, this synth, which is amazing value. And then you get 20% off. I'm not going to do the maths in my head. Well, it's probably about a tenner off, isn't it? Something like that. Yes, anyway. A nice bit of beef. Let's whack the Fab Filter Satin on this one. That could be quite fun. Yeah, so we get saturation, bit of distortion, and pumping. Fun. There's only a couple of these, so we'll go through them. I mean, obviously they're all pretty straight, because you can do 8th note, 16th note, 32nd notes, and 64th notes. When you'd want to use that, I don't know. And you can also do triplets and dotted. Anyway, you've got some ability to do some fun things. And then on something like this, we've got the LFO cutting into it quite a bit at dotted 8th notes using... Do you know, I don't know what rec means. I like the sound of it. But you've got triangle, sine wave, saw, and random, and rec. I don't know what rec means. So it sounds different if you do saw. And triangle. Triangle and sine wave sound pretty similar then. Random is quite fun. But what is rec? I don't know. I should probably have already looked at that. Anyway, move on to pads. Now everyone knows the Roland Juno pad sound. I don't know if this is a good example of it. It's not bad. Obviously there are going to be some that are that true chorusy sound, but I've tried to keep things, because I love pads and I always make far too many pads. I've tried to keep as much variation as I can here. So to try and keep, it's really easy to bright Juno pad, so hopefully I've got some more subdued stuff in there as well. Oh, perfect, here you go. And wobbly. Now, one of the fun things here is that obviously the original Juno 60 only had 6-note polyphony. Now you can go up to 12 here, which is quite useful on the pads, but sometimes the sort of note stealing vibe you get from just having the original 60 is quite fun. Particularly if you've got an even longer release. And you can get some big sounds. The chorus and the pulse width modulation do allow you to, and particularly if you've got the release. Let's just bring it down to stop it. Oh, this is one of my favourites. Lovely and warm, this one. So let's give it some life with the reverb and the delays. So just a bit more width. Added really simply. You don't need to go crazy. Nice bit of drift on that one. Sometimes the noise oscillator can be really fun on pads just to give it a grittiness. I rather like. So that's a very Juno sound. Weak. High pass filter is very useful on pads as well because you can take a lot of the bottom end out if you want it to just be sort of float. So if you bring it all back in, obviously you get a richer, thicker sound, but if you really want it to just sort of hang in the higher registers, then very useful little tool, that one. Big old release. nice drift. Very simple. This is just the saw wave with a bit of envelope on the filter. Let's see what happens if we add our reverb, our delay, and our saturation in. Nice big sound. This is very Juno. Okay, we'll go through a handful more pads. That's just a pad using just the sub oscillator. I can't speak today. What is wrong with me? You can, when you swap around the envelope shape on the VCF, you can get some really interesting sort of soft attack stuff going on. So it punches, but softly. Like that. I know what I mean. Let's whack the reverb and the delay on this. Obviously, other reverbs, delays, and saturation plugins are available. And that seems like a nice place to leave the pads and move on to... So yes, this one's basically... I've called it Hauntology because it's got 70s vibe and then synthwave 80s vibe, which you'll get to play with eventually, I promise. So we've got one whole soundscape. Which is just subtly wobbly sub-bass, sub-bosk, and noise filter. Hang on. Okay, this I remember what I've done now. This patch here, it won't be in the final sound set. Ignore it. Move along, move along. One day I'll explain why that was there, but now is not the time for that. Okay, a few sequences which are kind of fun. Pop the delay on this one. Pump it with the saturation. No, it sounds a bit mental with that, doesn't it? So reverb was wrong, but percussive sort of sequence. Could be used as a bass line. We play really deep. There we got some random going on. Have we? Yeah, maybe. What a lovely filter. Alright, let's put the delay and saturation on. Nice. And then we go, here we go into the synth patches just to finish. These are the ones that I felt, are they leads? Maybe they're not. They're something a little bit more than that. I don't know. So if something, I can't decide whether it's a lead or a pad, then maybe it'll end up here. Okay, let's pop the... What reverb tail are we going to get? Whee! So we move from Blade Runner to Flash Gordon very quickly. Just in the blink of a filter. And what else have we got here? Again, this is one of those patches that uses the reversing of the envelope shape and you got that kind of weird sucky attack. I like it. Like a kind of old school synth guitar patch, isn't it? Etc. Is that the last patch? Yep. So there you go. Let's find a nice pad to finish on, shall we? One that we didn't pay. Oh, I think I like this one. Let's bring all the effects in. Actually, not the distortion. All the effects. And there you have it. That is Uno LX Protozoa. So it's 150 patches full of classic analog retro vibe with a little bit of modern bite added in there. I think it's really useful for so many different types. I mean, obviously, classic retro synthy sci-fi stuff that's very popular at the moment is within its reach, but other cinematic stuff, TV drama, all sorts of electronica. My good friend Laurent Veronnet has done his own walkthrough video. He's done a demo track for me, which has got a kind of techno trancey kind of vibe to it, and he's had so much fun with this soundset. He's done his own walkthrough video, and so you can go and find that on the old YouTube and see what he did with it. And yes, I can't remember where it's going. Oh yes, so obviously yes, so lots of electronic music vibes going on. He does trance and EDM stuff, and I've got a techno guy who's done a demo track for me, and you can obviously use it for ambient, and there's that little bit of the Stranger Things vibe going on if you want to make it more intimate. You just pull all the chorus out, don't add any reverb or any delay. Huge amounts of uses for what is essentially an emulation of one single simple analog synth, but a great one. Great synth, great emulation. Yes, so that is Protozoa. As I mentioned about halfway through the video, you can get the special edition of Protozoa, which means that you'll get a 20% discount code for Uno LX if you don't already own it and you want to play with these sounds, then you get that. And as I've I've deliberately and nonsensically revealed, there will be more Uno LX soundsets released next year. I haven't got time to finish them this year, obviously, because it's cool, blimey, Governor, if it isn't September already. So thank you very much if you've got this far in the video without wanting to murder me for some reason. And I hope that you'll pick up a copy and have lots of fun with it. And if you do, don't forget that if you do make music with my synth sounds, I am always very keen to hear it, particularly if you take it in a direction that's a little bit unusual. But whatever you do, I'm always keen to hear it. I love to hear what people do with my sounds. It's that simple. So I shall bid you adieu and open the windows in my studio because it's quite a warm day and I've had to shut them to keep all the noise out. And hopefully that's been relatively successful. But the main thing is I'm boiling and I need to not be boiling. Okay, so thanks again, and I will see you in a few weeks' time for a new synth soundset walkthrough. And I have no idea which one it's going to be for. It's going to be either for Diva, Zebra, or Omnisphere, but I haven't decided what I'm releasing next yet. That's going to be in October. Is it October? Yes. How many months of the year are there left? It's going to be October. Ugh. Okay, I think the heat's got to me. Ta-ta, bye-bye. I'm going to go away now and make everyone happy. Bye.